Welcome to the Never Been Promoted podcast and YouTube channel. I'm on a mission to help you cut the tie to all the things that are holding you back so you can unleash your entrepreneur. Oh, you got to feel that smooth funk. That is some good music for intro. Let me tell you, every time I hear it, I kind of just want to let it keep running and then it just ends and I got to get on stage. So welcome. Never Been Promoted live here at the show today. We're going to learn a little bit about how you build income on demand. Our guest is Alex Thoric. He is he's the co-founder and he's up in Montreal, Quebec, Canada. It's on the east side. If you didn't know it, very nice city. He was just there like a week ago. This conversation would be great because he has a marketing agency background. He knows how to build income quickly with service professionals. It'd be a great conversation on the journey he's taken as well. If it's one of your first times here, or maybe you just haven't done this yet, because I do ask every time. So if you haven't been here before, you would never know this. Go to youtube.com, give it a subscribe. Even if you kind of like the content, because we're improving it all the time. And if you want to be a guest, just reach out to me at linkedin.com/n at Thomas Helfrich. Give some feedback on the show. If you're listening to this, Apple, Spotify, whatever your favorite music player is, take a moment, do a nice review. If it's anything less than a 4-star, maybe. I like 5 stars, but I get it if you want to do 4. Let me know what we can do to improve it. So those are important to the community and the guests to kind of help get their messages out there and help us deliver our mission, which is to help millions of entrepreneurs, just unleash that entrepreneur, cut the tide, all the stuff that's kind of holding them back, and allow them to, really get out there and become the kind of entrepreneur and business person they want to. But enough shameless promotion. Let's bring on Alex to the stage. Alex, how are you?
Doing good. Thanks for having me.
I appreciate it. I love well, Alex, when you get on, he got on the green room today, everybody. I said, hey, by the way, we do these live. He's like, oh, that's great. I didn't know. Welcome to the live show. You're the founder of BID, Build Income on Demand, or Build Income on Demand, right?
Yep.
But you're in Montreal. So I just visited Montreal. Our kids are up there, was in a camp. If you don't know, Montreal is a very clean city. It's a big city, like 6 million people too. So, but we were down, we walked around and said, I got to ask, this is your icebreaker question. The one thing you must do in Montreal, and don't say Schwartz's Deli because the line's too long. Okay. And the other thing is what you should never do.
What you should never do?
Well, one thing you absolutely have to do. What's the other thing you should never do?
Okay. So one thing that you should do is try orange julep.
Or what is that?
Orange julep. So there's a juice on, it's in between Highway 15 and 40. Okay. So we have this gigantic, huge orange in the middle of the city in a way. And they somehow they have special recipes and they create this orange juice, which is, I believe it's mixed with milk, but it has this really interesting taste. So it tastes like a smoothie type of thing, but it's more of a juice.
Okay. We were there and didn't even hear of that. And it's definitely something I wouldn't have searched for. Yeah. So, okay. I hear that. All right. What's the thing you should never do?
You should never
in Montreal.
Yeah. Don't come in winter.
Oh, what?
Don't come during winter times.
Oh, is it that bad?
I mean, in February is the coldest month. So it's pretty cold.
After we dropped the kids off, we went to Banff, which is in
Alberta.
What is that? Alberta. Yeah. And we were up we went to go see one of the glacier thingies, and they said it gets like minus 50 Celsius up there in the winter. I was like thinking that's the place not to visit in the winter.
No.
I want you to know we also ran into a grizzly bear on our trail while we were hiking. Legit. Got video. Like,
wow.
It was about 30, 40 feet in front of us. I was probably about 100 feet. The guy who was with us was like 30 feet and filmed it, which was great because I filmed him thinking he might get eaten. All right. Don't do that, people. If you see a grizzly bear, slowly back up. Make a little noise. Let them know you're there. But that was scary, I will tell you. But now that it's happened, it's cool. I kicked that grizzly bear's ass. All right. Enough of this.
Now I have a story.
I do have a story. Otherwise, we were just hiking a lot. Alex, you want to start with what your company is? You set up a little bit, give me the 1-liner, 2-liner on it, and then back up to kind of how you got there to launching it.
Sure, yeah. So building income on demand is basically coaching and mentorship for service-based professionals specifically. So over the last 7 years, we've been we've been working, providing marketing services to service businesses. And when I say service businesses, I'm referring to local businesses such as gym, spa, real estate agents, insurance professionals. So everything that you can think of that's related to service. So let's say if you need leads and you need those leads to book appointments and come in to get a treatment or come and get they want to get our service, whatever the service is. That's what we would usually help them with. So it would help them with the client acquisition part, building the entire automated system that would bring in leads and then convert them into clients.
And what's your background? How did you get that? Because that's fantastic, but to know how to do that for legit. And I'll preface this, by the way, there's tons of terrible marketing agencies out there. I'm not trying to be mean, but you know who you are, and you don't know you're bad, but you know you don't know what you're doing, but yet you're, with AI, you think you got it. So just listen up, because you might learn something from it. But so talk about your background a little bit, because you got quite a bit of experience.
So for me personally, so I was in college. I was in it was our third semester. We had marketing 101, and at the same time, I was working with this network marketing company. And I'm pretty sure you know how network marketing companies work. You get a chance, you can build your own team and then get residual income from that as well, and also sell products or services of the company. So I was kind of at some point fed up of running after people and showing them the presentation, and I wanted to bring people to me. So I started searching online, like how can I get people to come to me, pretty much. And I came across sales funnels. So I was like, what's a sales funnel? What's a funnel in general? So I started digging more and more and more into that. I got really curious. I started buying courses left and right on pretty much everything: funnels, email marketing, ads, social media. And as I said, I was in college. It was my third semester. We had marketing 101, and we had this case study that where we were giving $2 million budget, not real $2 million, where we had to promote the company. And at that point, I was reading the textbook that we were going through in the class. But at the same time, because I was getting, so for example, I was learning from Ryan Dice from Digital Marketer. That's where I was getting most of my courses, like Billie Jean as well. So like people who been there, done that, and they're still doing it. And they are running multi-million-dollar companies, and they're doing it every single day. So I took all the information that I learned from online marketing, I applied to my case study. I got 60 or 65%, so it was a passing grade. And I looked at it, I'm like, but it's perfect. Because our audience was like millennials, and I was like, well, sweet. So we're going to create an app. We'll run all the campaigns on social media. Um, so I got 60 or 65%. I came up to the teacher. I asked, so what's wrong with it? She said, well, you didn't mention anything about traditional media. And then back then, the company that I was working with, the network marketing company, it was a telecommunication company. So I knew that usually large companies, they can easily spend tens of thousands of dollars on a billboard a month.
Right.
And with that, with knowing, let's say if you can invest $10,000 into Facebook ads in a month, like not even in a month, but let's say if you can put that in a month, you're going to get way more returns, and you can track that, because that's what they were talking about as well during the digital marketing classes. So at that point, I was like, yeah, but what's the point? Like, I understand the idea of building the brand and well, pretty much the brand, yeah. And it's important to do that. But what was important in my opinion is to be able to track everything and get the return on investment. So at
Well,
that point, yeah.
you make a good point there, by the way. So this is a problem with big firm marketing versus small company or smaller company marketing, that the big firm probably doesn't need to do that. The same money in ads would reach 10 times as many people. You would know who it is. Their brand could be more, but when you have endless money sometimes, and what I see sometimes, you get marketers that come from big companies, and some of the approaches are so over the top, no small or mid-sized business could do it. in reality, and they get too thin and it doesn't work. And so you're saying basically like, you know, you got a D on the class. You're probably right. Didn't play the games. What happened really when you took that, but you tell me what happens next then. So you're like, you know, I don't care if I get the D. I know I'm right kind of thing. Or did you quit school and throw your book at somebody? And
I actually did quit school. Also, I had another reason because I was doing Taekwondo for, I would say 6 days a week. I wanted to go to Olympics at some point, but then I realized I have to choose one thing. So I kept on training. So I decided to pause, put the school on pause. And with all the information, with all the knowledge that I had, I realized that there was a huge market, again, based on what those guys were explaining and teaching, saying that business owners in today's world, they need your help. Like social media is going to be bigger than ever before. So we started our first agency.
Yeah.
And
so how did you get this? So you have an agency now that focuses on it. And did you see the need to have this training coaching piece as part of the top of funnel for the build income on demand? So tell me how your agency and the coaching, the build income on demand stuff work together.
So in case with the BID, the idea behind it came after. So I'll give you kind of a quick backstory as well. So when we started the first agency, it was 4 of us, well, technically 3 of us, and we were all friends. And people would tell us friendship and business is not the same thing, and we were saying no, we're going to figure it out. Don't worry. At the end of the day, we didn't. So I decided to leave. I started another agency from ground zero. But then the other guy left as well. So my friend Daniel and we were kind of alone, having 2 separate agencies. And then he was working with his industries. I was working with mine, and we realized. So we would still chat, and we would meet up. And then we were sharing different stories, different ideas as well, like brainstorming. And we realized that there are certain industries, specifically service-based local businesses, and they pretty much have the same fundamentals, and they don't use them. So whenever we would start working with a client, either me or him, we would pretty much start doing the same things. And we decided to come together and create pretty much a program to help them do it with them. Because at the end of the day, the hardest part is to build the foundations that will be evergreen. And the easiest part would be to, I'd say, send traffic these days.
Yeah. What's the kind of number one challenge services business? And you focus more local market. So some of your marketing is more geo-fenced, if you will. What's the biggest challenge they're facing? Is it brand? Is it just differentiation or knowledge? What would you say they're kind of all facing?
Well, the biggest one is the lead flow, and they don't have a system, a proven and repeatable system to generate leads. And I think every business is facing that. The secondary reason to that would be how they would differentiate themselves, because each and every real estate agent can offer a free consultation, or insurance agent can offer a free quote, but that it's nothing special.
Right.
So
it's getting that same message more often in front of the right people ends up being a differentiator. So okay, gotcha.
It's getting
doing something downstream with it, right? So it's like once you have them, retargeting might come away. We could talk about that a bit as well.
Yeah. The way we like to look at it is we in the beginning we figure out their goal, where they want to be. We break them down to yearly, quarterly, monthly, weekly, and daily goals, because you know how it is. In the beginning of the year, I was invited to do a presentation at an event, and I was looking at the stats. Maybe you're going to be surprised, maybe not, but 80% of people that set yearly goals, they give up on them by February 1st. So
I think that's gracious. I think they admit by February 1st they've given up. I'd have to guess that it's probably even worse than that. But let me ask you. So if you think about like an Alex Thoric, I'll assume you know who that is because of being in the gym world and stuff like that. And his stuff is amazing. Do you see any shortcomings with somebody like that though, who's gotten multiple exits, has got a beautiful thing, or is your methodology similar to someone like that who is like, hey, build the leads, do 100 tests, find it, you're going to spend money, that's a very well-known something that's near your space. How would you differentiate from what he says, or when you get in the weeds of actually doing it?
Yeah, so the way we like to do it, and especially again because those are mostly service business, local businesses, we have a bit of a different type of strategy where we like to use short form videos. We run ads targeting their ideal audience, and then we get people to consume their content. So we could create a no like and trust factor. Now, when people get to see the content, and especially the ones that watch at least 50% of the video, now we could retarget them with the offer.
I like that. That works.
Because and I'll tell you the reason behind it. So Google did a study. They call it 7-11-4. Have you heard of it?
I haven't.
Okay, so they did a study. They wanted to see how much time it takes someone to get from not knowing about the company to becoming a customer. And it takes them these days. It takes a person to consume 7 hours of content, have 11 touch points across 4 different channels.
Oh wow, it's really gone up then.
Yeah, and the attention span is even less now.
That's, and so yeah, so you got to have your brand on point. You got to have your landing pages.
Yeah,
I think you probably can accelerate it with some differentiation, better landing pages. Like there's some ways to get that, but on average, you take all the shitty ones and you take all the really good ones, and it's coming out to be. It used to be like 7 touch points in just a couple hours. I do remember that, but it's really gone up.
Yeah, it's a new. Yeah, I think it's a year-old study, something like that.
But this actually leans to a trend that I see, and so one of the trends I'm seeing in the, I won't call it lead generation, but just marketing world, is this return to in person, where if you're doing more in-person events, and specifically where maybe you've put it together and you've established a brand authority on that, I bet that number goes way down, because 30 minutes in person and them interacting with you accounts for a whole lot of that other stuff that comes in behind it. So how do you maybe coordinate that omni-channel strategy, given that, that can shorten the cycle? Are you doing that kind of as part of it? Like, so some of the ads you might run is, hey, come to this live event, and then you've reduced an ad cost or something. So talk about how you interact with just not all digital versus the in-person as well.
That's something that we started implementing for us. One of our clients, they are preparing everything right now as for the in-person events. So in the beginning of the year, we decided to run quarterly events, basically networking events. So we had our first networking event in January this year. Mm-hmm. We just finished our second event last week, on July 4th. Happy Independence Day.
Yeah, I was there.
Okay.
I was in Banff, so I was on a mountain. So it was with a grizzly bear with that day. It was great.
Yeah, cool. But yeah. So the idea behind, like in our case, we wanted to build a community, and we saw that that's one of the ways how we could build it, because everything is online these days, and we wanted to have that personal connections with people as well.
Yeah, well, listen, and I think when we first kind of interacted, I think you just came off of that event, if I remember correctly, and it was a while ago. it was like I think literally it was like in January you and I had first met. And I love what you're doing there, because I think what it speaks to is you need digital might be not enough. If you have deep pockets and you just like, listen, I don't want to do that, then you spend more. If you can mix multiple channels in your strategy and leverage ads correctly, you can reduce some of your cost and effort if you just you can find the sweet spot for your services piece. And it could be an open house at a gym. It could be wine tasting from a realtor, and you just get to know that person. You might not buy a house, but you like wine. The next time you do, you're like, we should call her or him. And that stuff works. That gets people interested in what you're doing because they spent time with you. Now, if you're a bumbling idiot when you show up to those things, you got That's problems. It's on you, right? And just don't blame your marketer at that point. But if you also don't know, you can't handle a conversation, you're probably pretty screwed anyway. But I think that's the point, is that if you can't speak well, and you have a process for sales, then don't speak. Like let the ad do it. But if you're really good interacting with people, get more people in touch with you. And I think we're a firm like yours, and some of the kind of the training that lends it towards that is like, what is it you're good at, and where can you? Am I saying that right? Like, and you're saying where can you leverage ads to facilitate?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah,
right.
100%. Yeah.
See, I just took it, Larry. I answered your question for you. It was great.
Thank
I love
you.
it. You're welcome. I just don't want to get a back like sidekick roundhouse. I'll be walking down Montreal like in a week, pick the kids up, and all of a sudden like a ninja shot shows up with the throwing star, and it's you.
No, I didn't do
How much do you draw upon your sports background and your athleticism in your business?
I would say quite a lot. The discipline part helps quite a lot.
Yeah.
Yeah, because
give me an example. Like you're like up at a certain time, or you're like, I absolutely hate doing X, Y, and Z, but you know, it's a lot better than getting kicked in the face, or something like that. Or like, what's the moment when you can literally be like, I can do this?
So being up at a certain time is 100%. So I'll put it this way: it used to be 100% there, but then since we were traveling for the past 4 months, it was like up and down, and the time zone change, and now I'm getting back into.
Well, you were traveling for 4 months. Where did you travel to?
So we went to Spain. So we lived in Spain for 3 months. While we were there, we would go to pretty much everywhere across Europe, France, Portugal, Italy, Greece. What else?
It's easy. All the trains, just go.
Yeah.
Trains and planes.
Oh, well, it was mostly planes. Yeah. Yeah.
But I mean, well, once you're in country, though, it's like you can get around so easily to places. That's what I like about it. And I think if you guys are, as entrepreneurs out there looking to build your business, that's something you could do when you have a lead engine. When you have a business that, even if you're like a services company, you can take time if you have a way to get people in the door and way to sell people without you having to be the one to sell it. And I can't stress that enough. If you don't have to be the one always looking for leads by yourself, you have a lot more free time to do other things for yourself, or work in your business or on your business to do more. Tell me something though. Give me like the top. Let's say you got some do-it-yourselfers out there, and that maybe that makes sense because initially that's all they can afford. Give them the initial advice. Like, what is it they should be doing so they get to the point where they can, when they get success, that you're going to want to outsource this at some point because it's just too expensive to do it in house too long, and you can't scale. What's the advice you're giving the do-it-yourselfers or the noobs, if you will? The white belts. What are the white belts? What are you telling the white belts here?
As for the acquisition part,
just part of like just from the advice of how do you build income with advertising and just for the services, like do this, don't do that day one.
I would say take one platform. When I say one platform, I'm referring to the social media platform. Go all in on that platform. Start creating content within the platform. Post every single day. And I'm sure you've heard this before. And I'm sure you've heard Gary Vee talking about being everywhere and posting everywhere multiple times a day. You could do that, but that might lead to burnout because it's hard to do it when you're a one-man show. And in case with Gary, I think he has like 12 or 14 people on his team that work on his personal brand. So it's different. But yeah, going 100% on one platform. You could repurpose content across other platforms. If you are focusing on B2B, you should definitely be on LinkedIn. 80% of B2B sales are done through LinkedIn. And we're leveraging more and more of that platform right now. So in our case, I'll give you an example. In terms of the ads, we mostly run ads on Facebook and Instagram for our funnels, for the content. In terms of the organic part, we mostly use LinkedIn. So it's free, first of all. The only thing that you could get for yourself is LinkedIn Sales Navigator, and I think it's $80 a month. And they keep changing prices.
Yeah. Well, in Canada, everything's more expensive. You guys really think your books are so expensive. It's crazy. So, Sales Navigator is about $100 a month. I agree. And talk about the content itself. So are you doing kind of also the Alex Hormozi approach of like give away 7 things of information and ask one, or what's your general content strategy when you're creating that free content?
So for the free content, let me talk about the ads part. So you could take the short form content, you could post it on your social media organically. And you could also take exactly the same clips where you don't necessarily sell anything, you're just providing value, and you run ads to those videos at $5 a day. And you can run video views and let people consume your content. You don't need a huge budget to spend on that. In terms of providing
Wait,
value with the
I'm gonna
content,
interrupt you though. That $5, that's on Meta though. That wouldn't be for a LinkedIn strategy.
that's on Meta, yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
So
because like $5 on Meta on LinkedIn, that I don't think you could even get a half of a click. You can't even get a right click on
no,
that one.
no. Yeah, no. In
So
case of
that is
LinkedIn,
a
I
Meta
believe.
strategy,
Yeah, yeah. I believe in case of LinkedIn, the minimum is $20 or $30 a day. I believe it's
right?
20.
Per click.
No, no, it's the ad spend.
I know.
Yeah.
I mean,
Well, per
it's pretty
yeah,
expensive.
yeah. In case of LinkedIn, yeah, the cost per lead is could easily be at $100. Sometimes goes to 200. Depends on the industry too, but it's more expensive because you get higher quality people as well.
Yeah.
High
All right, so
quality.
you do $5 a day, let's say Meta, or 30 or to 100 a day on LinkedIn. Depends on that. But you're saying pick one, go all in, and then you're sending them almost as free content, but in an idea that it's inexpensive. And I guess if your LinkedIn's your main platform, you could still run it on Facebook or Meta because it
Yeah,
gets them that second touch.
yeah.
I know I see most of my LinkedIn ads for people selling stuff on LinkedIn on Facebook. And I think it's just because it's cheaper, honestly, to do it. And I don't think I ever click an ad on LinkedIn ever.
I have maybe I clicked like 2 ads on LinkedIn.
Yeah, probably
I don't
just
know.
to study the ad, be my guess.
Yeah, I think it was just an interesting ad or something like that. Yeah. Most of the
All right.
time,
Yeah, go ahead. Go ahead.
yeah, most of the times the ads that I would personally click on, they're pretty much on Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube.
How much time do you spend studying other people's ads?
Um, I would say good like 3 hours a week at least.
Oh, so you do. So you're like me. I look at the ads just to see how
So
people do it. If I like it.
yeah, well, yeah, because sometimes you see an ad popping up in your newsfeed, and I just save it, and then I have a folder with marketing with the creative, and then I go through it, and then I check on what people are doing. I also like to look at other industries, not necessarily the marketing space, and see
Mhm.
how they are doing it, because people's psychology is pretty much the same everywhere, but sometimes something that will work in another industry will work in yours as well.
So there's a lot of companies like yours out there. I mean, there's a lot of them will claim. How do you differentiate as an agency doing this? What's your biggest like? Is it you? Is it like how are you differentiating?
Like in our case, we mostly focus on, as for the BID, that's what you're referring to?
Either one, actually. I think just the idea of differentiation, because those two things seem to work together. Uh, Similarly, how Never Been Promoted works with Instantly Relevant. We bring a lot of marketing people in. We do things with them. But the differentiation sometimes is in the BID, right?
Mhm.
It's in the Never Been Promoted podcast that there's another place. So how do you guys differentiate your services that are otherwise, somewhat commoditized? You're competing against very low labor markets. I'm curious because I'm going to steal your answer and start doing it. So go ahead.
Okay, sounds good.
Okay.
So based on the last 7 years of knowledge and experience that we've had, as I was mentioning earlier, we've came up with the nice subsystem that works every single time. So whenever we or our clients implement it, it works amazingly well. And we know it, we have the proof. And I would say that's what mostly that would be the main differentiator for us as the company. Because in case with other companies, many different companies have their processes and systems. Um, I know for a fact, I mean, you can go to our testimonial page and see what our clients have to say about us. I'm not gonna explain why we're the best. You can just check out, our page.
There you go. What's the biggest lesson you've learned in building an agency?
Um, Focusing on one thing.
Oh,
The one thing is, yeah, has been, especially like with all the different opportunities that are out there, building an agency or creating an e-com store when it was a crypto craziness. Just focus on one thing, and within the agency, focus on one industry.
That's and have you expanded past that now, or is for you your industry is professional services?
For us, it's mostly services. Yeah.
Do you focus then on Montreal specifically, or do you
Nope.
do you come out of
No,
there
no.
as well?
And yeah, in our case, it's Canada, US at the moment.
Yeah.
We did
Well,
have a
it's
client
interesting.
yeah, go ahead.
Go ahead.
No, I wanted to say we did have a client in Japan, but but yeah, it was just one person, so
Didn't work out.
no,
It's
it did, but like it wasn't our intention to go that far. Yeah,
gotcha.
like our main focus is Canada and US.
I would say sometimes I'll extend that kind of idea a bit. You know, as I look at different service lines, I'd want to add to, you know, instantly relevant. But you know, and we look at those. It actually even pulls me away to say, hey, I don't think I want to be labeled an agency. I want to be really more business growth. Because I connect people like you, because we don't do that work. An agency would do the work. And I'm like, all right, so we're really more of a business coach consulting or a business growth consulting company that I bring elements in, or I connect people. And you're right about that. When we started, we did way too much. We did, you know, websites, we did those other we'll still coordinate a bigger deal. Sometimes we'll bring in the right players. But when you get too thin, it gets too hard to manage and impossible to advertise a brand around it.
Oh no, super hard, yeah. Because your message is going to be, as there's a saying, if you talk to everyone, you talk to no one.
That's correct. That's right. And I find that no matter, and a lot of entrepreneurs struggle with the kind of the entrepreneurial ADD, right? Is that you've sometimes even if you think you're narrow, you're not narrow enough. For example, I know this podcast is about entrepreneurship. I'm even right, you know, about 6 months in, I'm like, I think we should focus it down to really marketing, because I think it's the hardest part of entrepreneurship is getting people to see you. It's sometimes easy to sell or get people to buy once they do. It's sometimes easy to get a brand or a logo or processes to run your company. But to get people to see it and want to buy into it and want to be, that's the hard part. And so it's like, I even look at that, I'm like, man, am I going to limit myself? Like, well, maybe, but at the same time, that's who I have on here. That's what a lot of people want to know about. And it's so true, because if you don't narrow it down to what you're focusing on, it's a lot harder to grow. You know, you can't be Nike with everything right away. They start off just with shoes for a really long time, right? Until they added shorts or socks or something.
Yeah. Even Amazon, they started with books.
Exactly. And so you got to get around that. So I think that's fantastic advice.
How do you
want to get? Go ahead.
I do want to add one more thing about the one, focusing on the one thing. So recently, I don't know if you've heard of the book, The One Thing.
I have heard of the book. It's on my list of to-dos of books.
You should read it, because it was written by Gary Keller, the founder of Keller Williams, the real estate agency. I believe it's one of the biggest real estate agencies.
I think it certainly is. It's that and Coldwell Banker, I think, are the two.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I keep rereading all my notes. I think I reread them 3 times now.
Oh wow! All right, that one thing.
The one thing, yeah.
The one thing. All right, I will put that in my next book list. I have. Yeah. I'm through the Alex Thoric books. I'm about to go pick my next one. I will get through Atomic Habits, which I'm not creating the habit to go listen to it anymore. But I think that's a great idea. When you were doing your Taekwondo training, if you were struggling with the left roundhouse, is that all you worked on? Did you draw back to that? I'm going to come out here this week and I'm going to do 1,000 freaking kicks until I get that thing to snap like my right foot?
I did, actually.
Yeah.
Which is funny because I'm lefty and I have better kicks with my right. It depends on the kick, actually. But most of my kicks are better with my right leg.
I'm right-handed and I'm left-footed. So in fighting, right, yeah. I didn't do Taekwondo at your level, but I liked having a really strong front leg because people don't expect that. When your front flip, front kick is really fast.
Yeah.
Oh my God, what's that right leg going to do? That right leg has never seen the light of day because it's like a dead weight coming around. Like I'm just going to threaten it. You're never going to see it because it's horrible. But you don't know. Anyway.
Yeah.
See, that's secret stuff. I love it.
And in case with practicing those kicks, it's like Bruce Lee used to say, what was the saying? I'm afraid of the person who practices one kick 10,000 times. Another person who knows 10,000 kicks.
That's true.
Yeah, because you know at a level where you can use it at any moment.
At will, right? Yeah. Now, if you find a guy that's got 1,000 kicks that's practiced each 10,000 times, you might want to run. That's going to be a tough little cookie.
That's a different story.
Yeah, it's a different story. How do you want people to get a hold of you? And who should get a hold of you? For your for what you're doing with bid and everything else.
Well, they can find me on each and every platform at Alex Thoric. It's LinkedIn, it's Instagram, Facebook, pretty much everywhere. So if you run a service business, if you provide services to your clients and you need to get leads, you can check out our website, Build Income on Demand. There are lots of free resources that you can download for yourself. We actually do have a 9-step roadmap that you can download and implement in your business free of charge.
I love it. Give me the website again, and I'll put it up here so it gets on there. If you don't, or put it in our private chat here if you can. I'll put it out there. But go ahead and say it again for the audio, and where they go for the free download.
Yeah, so it's buildingincomeondemand.com, and you're going to see resources tab, resources or programs, and you can download it there.
Awesome. I think I would definitely take advantage of that, because you're what I've heard, and if you guys missed it here listening, is he's already done and paid for all the courses, and then just synthesize this to something free for you. So there's a savings right there. I'm hearing that I don't have to go pay a few $1,000s for courses. He's just kind of
tens of thousands, guys, tens of thousands,
tens of thousands. I hope people in your life are like, what are you spending money on? And I really hope it pays off, because holy cow, that's a lot of education right there.
It is, but honestly, I personally enjoy it. Like I keep sometimes, I have, as you said, like you're looking for, you have a list of books, and I did have a list of books. I bought those books, and they're still waiting in line for me to read them.
Yep. And as I've podcast guests, they send me their books, and I have a stack of those. I'm like, I got to read through these things. So it's like, oh man, I get it. Thank you, by the way, Alex, for joining. I'm gonna, once again, buildingincomeondemand.com. I'm gonna talk to you here in a second after I'll put you in the green room that doesn't have any cookies or drinks or anything, but I'll put you back on. But thanks so much for coming on today.
Thanks for having me.
And for everybody who's made it this point in the show, thank you so much for listening and watching. You check out the buildingincomeondemand.com. Alex is, I've met with him a few times offline, really focused, honestly, on what he does, and does it really well. And that's really rare, honestly, in the marketing world, to have somebody so focused on what they do. And those tend to be the best agencies to work with. So check them out. Once again, listen, if you haven't done it yet, youtube.com/neverbeenpromoted. To subscribe helps you can stay up to date, put the little notification on. Connect with me on LinkedIn as well if you'd like to stay in touch or come on the show or have any feedback. Get out there until we meet again. Unleash your entrepreneur as well. Thanks for watching.